The live didn't go up. Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 Men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
You've been waiting for so long. I forget the rest of the words, but that's the song.
Someone let Lynn make the
We've
Kool-Aid on
been
his
waiting
own.
for so long.
Poured like half a bag of sugar.
I don't know the words, but that's that song. Grand Central Station is the name of our group. WDAS is what we're listening to. All right, that's enough. All right.
That was real local.
That was real local. I realized how local it was after I started.
Right.
But I started.
Right. It's
and
like
I couldn't stop.
Local radio station, and it's a jingle from. Do they even use that jingle anymore?
No.
Yeah, WDAS.
FM in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
No, they don't. They don't use that anymore. Right. Anyway, so we're back, ladies and gentlemen, live.
We are back. There they are. There they go. There they go.
There they go.
There they go.
There he is. There he is. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, streaming live for you tonight as we are streaming via StreamYard to all of our fans out there on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all over. Hello, hello, hello.
Good evening, one and all.
And we are bringing for you tonight a review as we close out Halloween month just in time. Last week, previously on the Micheaux Mission, gave you a double header as we replayed our review of Blade and Blade 2, just so that we could sit down tonight and delight you with our thoughts on 2004's Blade Trinity.
Blade Trinity, yes, indeed.
Starring
yes, indeed.
Wesley Snipes.
Yes.
As well as Ryan Reynolds.
Yes.
Jessica Biel.
Yes.
Chris Christopherson.
Yes.
Sort of. Dominic Purcell.
Yes.
As you've never seen him before.
No.
And in a film written and directed by David Goyer.
Yes.
But before we get to that,
yes,
as you know that we were gone for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes, we were,
ladies and gentlemen, as we went on a little bit of a hiatus as Vincent and family were attending to some very personal issues, and I just want to extend, as we all have, our heartfelt prayers and thoughts to you and your family.
Yes, thank you very much, and I very much appreciate all of the kind words and wishes that were extended to my family, both online and off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've said this before. I will continue to say it. The Micheaux Mission and the community that we have built is indeed a blessing.
Amen.
So thank you for all the well wishes, all the prayers, and I'm happy to be back.
Yes, and they are happy to have us back. Ashy Feet sitting us up. Yo, we're black on the mission.
We're black on the mission. We keep it real black.
Much love to Damon Williams as well. What's up, my brother?
Yeah.
Mad love to you. Pharaoh Blackwell, of course, if we are here, that means that he is rocking his Derville Martin swag. Ready to do this.
The war continues.
And he also says, see what happens when you got to worry about sample clearances. Yes, that means I'm going to sing. To which Camellia says, sing, Len. So there you go.
Yeah.
I might break something else.
Well,
later on.
I was about to say, allow me to whip it out.
Ow!
Yeah.
Oh, it's been so long.
Yes.
But ladies and gentlemen, it has been long, but we come bearing good news.
Yes.
Right. I think it was maybe like not long after we were last on air. Yeah, I think it was, because not long after that, it was the New York Comic Con, and it was at New York Comic Con that it was announced that the novel by Octavia Butler,
That's
Kindred,
right. Yes, sir,
from the Hugo Award-winning Octavia E. Butler.
Yes, sir.
Will be a FX series debuting in December.
Yes, indeed.
Only on Hulu.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now you are not only someone who has read and loved the book Kindred,
Yes,
but a huge Octavia Butler fan. In fact, you actually knew Octavia Butler.
I met Octavia Butler a couple of times. My graduate work was actually devoted to Octavia Butler.
Mm-hmm.
My dissertation was on Octavia Butler, so I'm deep up in Octavia Butler world.
So how excited were you for this news?
I am very excited, and I'm so excited that I'm actually guarded, because I've had my heart broken so many times over the years about Octavia Butler projects.
Yeah.
That until I actually see it come on, I'm not going to believe it.
I hear you. But to be fair, this is the first one that has, progressed to the point where they've given it a release date.
It has. It's never gotten this far.
No.
I remain cautious though, because I haven't seen a trailer.
That's true.
It's just that picture. It's the picture, and it says Kindred,
and
then it says when it's coming out. So I've been hurt so many times in the past.
We don't want to hurt you anymore,
no,
Vincent.
But I'm very excited, and certainly if there was a novel that I would choose to adapt first, it would be Kindred.
Yes. Now, those who are not familiar with Kindred tells the story of a young aspiring writer who discovers secrets about her family's past when she finds herself mysteriously being pulled back and forth in time to a 19th century plantation.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's got
right.
time travel.
It's very much got time travel,
and I haven't read the book,
right?
But I know almost every person in my orbit has.
Yes, and you absolutely should read the book.
Well, I've been told that.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh Lord.
No,
how is there a here's the thing for read a book?
Because I'm about to tell you. Because the series is about to come out.
Yes, but you should read the book so that you're prepared for the series, and then you can compare and contrast if there have been some changes that they've made. And
I don't want to compare and contrast. I want to know the story. People will tell me whether or not there are contrasting.
You don't want to be obnoxious like all the House of the Dragon people.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Who've spent half of their time over the past few months talking about how it's deviated from the source material.
It hasn't deviated that far from it, from what I understand.
Oh, there have been a couple of deviations. There have been a couple of deviations.
But I've enjoyed House of the Dragon.
Right.
But for all of those out there who are huge Kindred fans, the Micheaux Mission has news for you.
Yes.
Right before we turn on the cameras.
Yeah.
I got Vincent to agree, and I didn't have to get him in a headlock for this.
Right. It was a little arm twisting. Not much.
Very little.
Not little. Yeah.
Very little. The Micheaux Mission will be putting together a Kindred podcast.
Yes.
To listen to side by side. Well, not side by side. It'll be like the next couple of days after. But a Kindred podcast where we will sit down and review the Kindred TV series and compare and contrast the show and the book.
Right.
And we actually have a couple of cool hosts who are going to be joining us in that endeavor. We haven't picked out a name for the show yet.
Sure.
I'll leave all you Octavia heads to come up with that. But we are really looking forward to that. I can't wait, because this is how I take in this type of media, because I only read comic books. So,
well, there is a Kindred graphic novel.
There is, and I started to purchase it, and by the time I went to go get it, it was sold out.
It's a good adaptation too.
I'm actually going to Baltimore Comic-Con this weekend.
Okay.
So I will be actively looking for
that.
So if I do cop a copy of the Kindred graphic novel, then I will read the Kindred graphic novel before the series. Okay. So that way I can, that'll be cool. So the three of you and our two other hosts to be named next week.
Right.
you can compare and contrast the show with the book, and I can compare and contrast with the graphic novel.
Can I get in on the graphic novel talk too?
Do you have the graphic novel?
Of course. It's like we don't even.
It's like we
Yes.
go to a show together
Yes.
for 6 years.
Did you not hear me just say I have an actual PhD in Octavia Butler? Yes, I'm familiar with the graphic novel. Do you have the graphic? Yes, Lynn. I've yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So there.
All right.
All right, cool. So anyway.
Yes.
So look forward to that coming up in December.
Yeah.
Here on the Micheaux Mission feed. So it'll be right on the feed.
So right on the feed.
Of a subscriber to our podcast, you won't miss it. Okay.
I guess we can't, like, do you call it a season? Like, we'll have a season of it.
Yeah, it'll be a season.
It's like 8 episodes.
Well,
Well, I feel like people want to know how much are they committing to.
No, okay. Well, it'll
because
probably,
I like to
there's
know
8 episodes.
There are
of the
8
TV
episodes of the
series,
show.
so there will probably be 9 episodes of the podcast.
Right.
We'll probably do like a prequel podcast.
Right.
So
Right. There you go.
there you go.
There you go.
All right.
And read Kindred, everyone.
Ashy Feet says Vincent had to whip out his PhD.
I mean, do you have the graphic novel?
I think that was a good question.
Yes.
I think it was a good question. I'm not mad at that. All right. We don't have listener mail for you over these past 2 weeks, but we do have new reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, nice.
As we are inching our way to 200 reviews, ladies and gentlemen. We're trying to get to 200 reviews on Apple Podcasts by the end of the year. You can please help us out. Go to Apple Podcasts, Micheaux Mission, and leave us a 5-star rating, but even more importantly, a review, because those are the ones that count ticking up.
All about the algorithm.
It's all about that algorithm.
All about the algorithm.
All about it. We have a review from Ike Zilla.
Hey, Ike.
Titled The Coolest.
Oh, nice. Wait, is he talking about us or something else?
Well, it's a review of our show.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
So I'll go out on a limb, not scanning forward.
You shouldn't jump the gun now.
No.
Right, go ahead.
The coolest black men covering all things black cinema, a perfect combo to soothe your soul, educate your mind, and embrace with a laugh.
Oh, thank you, Ike.
That's a good review.
Yeah, that is good. Appreciate that.
Very good review. And we also heard from ABCE765.
Hey, ABCE765.
Nothing but love for Micheaux Mission.
Nice.
Love these guys, so passionate and knowledgeable. Wishing them continued success on future missions. Mr. Micheaux would be very proud indeed.
Oh, well, we hope so.
Thank you.
We hope so. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That is dope. That is very dope. All right. So let's get into the show, the meat of the show.
The meat of the show.
As it were, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, Vincent, I love you, but I have been waiting so long.
Okay.
I have my friend. I have been waiting so long to debut tonight's Top 5.
Okay.
Top 5. My top 5 is. 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 My top 5 is.
Top 5, ladies and gentlemen. This is when I come up with a crazy top 5, and Vincent tells me how crazy I am for this.
I am, and I will.
Now, tonight's top 5, Vincent, it has to do, in a way, with Blade Trinity.
Okay.
Now, this is the 3rd Blade movie.
Yes.
Starring Wesley Snipes. And in this one, the vampire hunter famously goes up against the most famous vampire of them all, who would be
Count Chocula, but also Count Dracula.
Count Dracula.
Count Dracula.
Count Dracula.
Yes.
Side note.
Yes.
Here's an aside, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right.
You know what little bit of a well I fell in again this week?
What?
I was watching on YouTube and I was looking up like Blade stuff.
Sure.
And sure enough, it kind of points you to Dracula.
Of
because
course.
he fights Dracula in this movie.
Yes.
But then as YouTube algorithms points me to Dracula, it points me to the history of the monster cereals.
Wow.
Because of Count Chocula.
Because of Count Chocula, who actually does make an appearance in this film.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. So I of course had to watch the history of the monster series.
Look, absolutely.
Now, do you know?
No.
Wait a minute.
I'm so excited to hear this.
Do you know all of the monster cereals that there have been?
Okay, let's see. We've got Count Chocula, of course.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and put Boo Berry in because that's the one I would forget.
The Boo Berry.
The Boo Berry, that's the blue one.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Frankenberry.
Frankenberry, which is the strawberry.
Which is strawberry. What was the werewolf's name?
Mm-hmm. The werewolf was Fruit Brute.
Fruit Brutes.
Yes.
Probably wouldn't make it out of marketing in 2022.
He didn't last long on the market.
Yeah.
And then when they brought Fruit Brute back,
yeah,
they changed the mascot from a werewolf to a multicolored mummy.
Right. Whose name was
Laffy Taffy? I don't know.
Right.
I didn't catch that.
Right.
I guess he was the Fruit Brute.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like I'm saying Frankenberry, but Frankenberry was actually part of the big three.
Well,
like it was always Count Chocula.
It was
Frankenberry.
It was first Frankenberry and Count Chocula.
Right. And then
Boo Berry.
Boo Berry. That's what I meant. Yeah, Boo Berry. Yeah.
Now, did you hear what happened with Frankenberry, which got the government involved?
I have, as soon as you said, I stumbled into the history of the monster cereals, I got super excited because what I realized is I don't know anything about the history of the monster, which seems like something I would have picked up over the years.
Frankenberry,
is
infamous because back in like the early 70s, because I think these came out like late 60s or somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they were well established by the time we were.
A young mother
cereals.
Took her sons to the hospital because for like a couple of days straight, for some strange reason, his stool was pink.
I have heard this. Yeah.
And the doctors couldn't figure out what it was until they realized that he had eaten Frankenberry cereal
every day
for like a couple of days leading up to the doctor visit.
Yeah.
So because of this phenomena, they had to change the formula.
Sure.
They had to change the formula ultimately for Frankenberry, but the food coloring that they were using, that particular food coloring now had to come with a warning saying that it'll
turn your poop pink. It's a real highbrow show we have here. It's highbrow, real highbrow.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained? Well, there you go.
So then I went down.
Yeah. Oh, look, man. The
root of
the
chocolate series. Now, so I was looking up Dracula's.
Okay, of course.
Because Dracula appears in Blade Trinity.
Yes, he does.
And we'll talk about Dracula in Blade Trinity when we get to the review.
Right.
So that made me start thinking about the best Dracula performances.
The best performances of Dracula.
Who's your favorite Dracula performance? What's your favorite Dracula performance?
You know what?
You old school.
I gotta go with Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi.
I gotta go with Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be slick real. Like I would, like as you said it, I was trying to be slick, but in my heart, I'm a Bela Lugosi man.
I want to be a Bela Lugosi man. I like Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
But I think as far as having the same energy as Lugosi, but a better actor,
Mm-hmm.
I like Frank Langella.
The movie's not good.
See, here is my childhood bias, though.
Yeah.
I saw that as a kid, and that movie scared the bejesus.
Yeah, but it's not good.
It's not that great, but he's good.
Is he?
Yes, he is. I think he's not bad in it.
I think
he's my favorite.
I actually think Cushing is better than him.
Cushing's not bad either.
No, I think he's better than Frank Langella.
He probably is. I'm saying he's my favorite.
Okay.
I'm saying he's my favorite.
All right.
And I'm not saying he's the best.
Look, your favorite is your favorite.
He's my favorite. Okay.
We're not stepping on your top 5, are we?
No, we're not stepping on the top 5.
All right.
Because I realized that going like top 5 best Draculas. One, Dracula's been performed forever.
Oh yeah.
In media, and it gets really, really subjective.
Yeah.
But I don't think there will be any argument over the top 5 Lacula performances.
This is a good one. Looking forward to this.
These are the top 5 worst Dracula performances.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Buckle up.
I might fight you on one. I have a feeling I know one that's going to show up that I like. Go ahead.
Oh, I doubt it.
Let's see.
Number 5.
All
right. Number 5 is Richard Roxburgh, from Van Helsing from 2004. Did you see Van Helsing?
I did, and I have zero memory of it.
Yes, that is the Hugh Jackman.
Right, where he's got like the stake guns.
Yeah.
Van
Helsing is
right. Steampunk Van Helsing.
Yeah. Basically,
yeah.
Right. And this Dracula, if you look at the guy's face, does he look like you know what he reminds me of? And I think it every time I look at this movie, because Van Helsing's not a good movie.
I'll say, how many times have you seen Van Helsing?
Van Helsing is not a good movie, but it's one of them dumb movies that when it comes on, I say, I'll watch this dumb movie. While I'm doing something else. I don't sit down and like marinate on it, but it's something dumb to put on. It fits that bill.
Look, all right.
It fits that bill.
Look.
It does, because I like Hugh Jackman, so I can get off on Hugh Jackman in that movie.
2 weeks, so I'm gonna try and be friendly.
But it doesn't work, because then you got Richard Roxburgh.
Oh, that's why it doesn't work.
Who looks like a $3 professor from Gilligan's Island.
He does look like someone just wandered into the set. Hey man, put this cape on.
Yeah. It looks like the dentist that wandered into Plan 9 from outer space.
Right, exactly.
Who would have been a contender, but he's not playing Dracula.
No, he's not.
No,
he's not.
Right, so that's my number 5.
Okay, that's your number 5. All right.
I
got no problem with that because I have no memory of them.
All right. Number 4. Gerard Butler from Dracula 2000.
Now, I've never seen this.
Oh? Consider yourself lucky.
There was, you know what? The fact that it had 2000 in the title,
it's never a good sign.
I said, oh yeah, that's going to be some nonsense.
It's never a good sign. Has there ever been a movie, something that has 2000 in the title?
Right.
And it was good.
Right.
I don't think so. Now, Dracula 2000, for those who don't know, I'm going to give you the statistics on it. With stars Gerard Butler. It was from the year 2000, as I told you, and it also starred one of your favorite Draculas, that's Christopher Lee, Christopher Plummer, as Van Helsing, imprisoned Count Dracula within a vault inside Carfax Abbey. In present day, Van Helsing relies on Dracula's immortal blood to remain alive, but of course, things go awry.
Right. So it actually takes place in the year 2000.
Right.
At any point during the film, does Mario Van Peebles show up and say, we need some new Jack Van Helsings for Dracula 2000? This isn't the old Dracula. This is Dracula 2000. Are the words Dracula in 2000 ever put together at any point in the film?
No, they're not. They're not.
See, it's such a missed
See,
opportunity.
it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity. Perhaps if you had written the script, that's what they were waiting for.
Come on, Hollywood, give me a call.
All right.
All right.
Number 3.
Number 3. So far, I've had no opinion on either of these.
On our tour through the Lacula
Laculas, yes.
performances. Number 3. John Carradine in Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
Yeah, I don't know if I like Billy Kid versus Dracula.
You're going to get on me about Van Helsing and you like Billy the Kid
You know
versus
what?
Dracula?
This actual picture of John Carradine is better than Van Helsing.
No, it's not.
This is a fun movie.
It's not. It's
This
not.
is a
This
fun
is not a fun movie.
Okay,
Vincent.
it's
From
Billy the Kid
1966
versus Dracula in 1966. They knew exactly what they were making.
Oh yes, it's a campy.
Yes.
romp, but it's not.
This is a fun movie.
I didn't find it fun.
I'm not.
I found that movie very boring and tedious.
I protest him on this list.
Okay, you protest.
All right.
All right. Well, what list are you putting him on? Is he on the top? He's top 5.
I mean, he's not the top 5 Draculas.
Okay.
You know, top 30. You want to tell the people about Billy the Kid versus Dracula? About the intricate plot of Billy the Kid versus Dracula?
Let me pull that up because Billy the Kid versus Dracula. I didn't think I'd get there with Billy the Kid versus Dracula, but I will get there from 1966. Dracula travels to the American West.
Yes.
Intent on making a beautiful ranch owner his next victim.
That's right.
Her fiance, however, is Billy the Kid.
That's right. She likes the bad boys.
No, this, oh my God, I can't believe you like that movie. Anyway, number 2. Number two, Richard Engel in Dracula versus Frankenstein in 1971.
I have never seen this.
Now,
I like his cloak, though.
yeah, but you're not going to like his afro.
Oh, why does he have an afro?
He has an afro. This might as well be Welcome Back, Kotter versus Frankenstein. This man, if you see this movie, looks exactly like Gabe Kaplan. Now, when I was
they said we want a Gabe Kaplan type.
When I was a wee lad,
Yes.
traveling into my local video store and just happy that they would rent me videos,
Yes.
I saw Dracula versus Frankenstein sitting there.
Yes.
And if I remember, the cover was illustrated. Right?
Okay. Oh, you got caught out.
So I got caught. I was like,
got caught out.
this looks fun.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, taking home. It's like, oh, it's just 1970s, it's
Right.
cool, right? Dracula versus Frankenstein. Oh my God, man. This movie is so horrible. Frankenstein has this cloth face with stitching in it.
Nice.
I told you Dracula, he's got an afro. I mean, he's got a Dr. J afro.
Okay.
In this joint. It is just bonkers. They literally look like they shot this and paid the actors in donuts.
Okay. All right.
It is horrible. It is horrible. As a matter of fact, Robert Engel got the role of Dracula because they said he looks good in the cloak.
It's not a bad picture.
Not because he can act.
Right.
He was not an actor.
No. I hear you. It's not a bad picture.
But he was horrible.
All right.
All right. And yet he was only number 2.
Only number 2
In
because
the
number
Laculas.
1 on the list of Laculas.
And this is going to be controversial.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Al Lewis in Monsters Go Home.
Is he actually Dracula?
Not only is he actually Dracula, Grandpa from the Munsters,
Yeah.
as my research has learned, because I remember them saying that early one time in the show, so I wanted to check.
Yeah.
Not only is he's Dracula, his actual name, in the series,
Right. His government
is Sam Dracula. And for that reason alone, He is number one.
Sam Dracula. Okay.
They couldn't come up with anything better than I guess that's why they never used it
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
series.
Yeah. I thought you were going to have what's Love at First Bite?
Oh, George Hamilton.
I thought you were going to have George Hamilton on. Of course, is he actually playing Dracula?
No, he is playing
in Love at First.
He is
right.
playing,
So I thought you were going to have George Hamilton.
The reason
on
why
here,
I didn't,
and I was going to fight you.
No. See, I wouldn't have him on there because, and I'm not the hugest George Hamilton fan at all, but that movie knows exactly what it is.
Yes.
And for what it is, I mean, it's not a great movie,
right?
But it's
fun.
It's better than Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
It is better than Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
So I wouldn't have that on.
Okay.
On there.
All right.
You know,
so I was gonna fight you.
Nah.
All right.
Nah. So that was the one you.
That was the one I was thinking about because I know you are a hater of all things joy and happiness. So I was like, this film brought me joy and happiness. So Lynn probably hates it.
No. I enjoyed that movie when I saw it when I was a kid.
Right.
It came out like 80 something.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool.
Yeah, like 84.
This is cool. Now, what I didn't like was Zorro the Gay Blade.
Isn't that so funny that you thought about that when you thought about Love at First Bite?
Because that's George Hamilton.
Because it's also George Hamilton too. Yeah. I love Zorro the Gay Blade.
No.
I do.
No, no, Vince.
Strangely progressive.
Well, okay.
Because he's super flamboyant, obviously. But he was whooping people's ass.
He was no joke.
Like he wouldn't act like
multicolored.
Right. Like people took him for bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Don't
right.
let all them scarves and stuff fool you. You come up short.
Yeah.
Mess around with Zorro the Gay Blade.
You're crazy. You are crazy. Let's see. Michelle mentioned very surprised that there's not a mention of Eddie Murphy or Snoop Dogg.
Neither one of them played Dracula.
They weren't Dracula. They were vampires.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
Right. Lynn is actually playing this one straight. That's why I asked about Al Lewis. I didn't know he actually played Dracula,
and that's why I wanted to look him up. No, and even with that, I still wouldn't have considered them because, like, let's say this was worst vampire performances.
Right.
I don't think either.
Open it up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think either of those performances are bad.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy's wig is ridiculous.
Oh, is it?
Oh no, it is.
I mean, because to me, I thought he was trying to look like Ashford Simpson.
Well,
and he succeeded.
Yeah, the wig was ridiculous.
And Ashford Simpson, everyone knows, is a vampire.
Right.
But his performance is not bad. And Snoop is actually kind of cool in Bones.
Yeah. Both films that we've reviewed.
Both films that we reviewed.
Go into the archives.
Yes, check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. So no, I wouldn't put that. And another reason why I wouldn't put William Marshall. He doesn't play Dracula.
Oh, and William Marshall is actually really good as Blackula.
In the first one.
He does his best in the second one. You tried your gotta give him that cake from The Simpsons. You tried your best.
Very, very cool. Nick Ashford. I said Ashford Simpson. Nick Ashford.
Right.
They're both vampires.
Right. Ashford Simpson is like it's like a law firm here in Philadelphia. It's like Ashford Simpson, Jenkins and Jenkins.
Okay. All right. So that was the top 5.
All right.
Hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go with the Game of Kings. Hope you're ready, Vincent.
Oh, that's right.
That's the game. Where you would be surprised what a person can do with just a sensitive touch and a sensitive sound.
Sorry, it's a little extended, ladies and gentlemen. Vincent got really excited about something. We'll tell you about it in trailer.
Yes, yes.
All right. 6 Degrees of Derville Martin,
6
where Vincent will
degrees.
attempt to get from actors of my choice to 70s heartthrob and action hero Derville.
Yes,
Martin.
yes.
Vincent, are you ready?
I'm a little rusty, but I'm gonna give it the old college try.
Okay. Now,
All right, let's see what we got.
I'm telling you right now,
Okay,
the movie Blade Trinity is off the table.
okay.
All right.
Oh well. All right.
So,
Because it's at least 2 people in this. But go ahead. I'll see what I can do.
all right.
All right.
Do you
This for
want-
both of them? It's off the table?
for both of them. Yes.
Oh boy.
All right.
It's
So,
like a little rocky. All
do
right.
you
Let's
want to
go.
slow walk this, or you want to come in hard?
Look, let's jump in the deep end. Let's jump
Jump in the deep
let's
end?
jump in the deep end, and then we'll see how it goes with the second one.
Okay.
All right, what we got? What we got? Woo! Because it's at least 2 people in this movie that is okay. Go ahead, come on, let's go. Who we got?
I'm about to say maybe we should rename the Going At It Hard. Do you want Ming Na Wen, or do you want?
Yeah, see that was different. That was a whole different energy. Go ahead. Who we got?
All
Who we got? Who we got?
Get in 6 movies or less.
6
from
movies or less.
Derville Martin.
Derville Martin.
2.
2.
John Michael Higgins, to be fair.
Oh, okay. Yeah. John Michael Higgins. I will get to him this way. The funny thing is, the way I'm going to get to him, I'm wondering who your second person is. Derville Martin is in I'm gonna pull out my keys real quick. So Derville Martin is in 5 on the Black Hand Side with Dick Anthony Williams, who's in Mo Better Blues with Denzel Washington, who's in He Got Game with Rosario Dawson, who's in Josie and the Pussycats with Parker Posey, who's in Best in Show with John Michael Higgins.
Very good, Vincent. And of course, Parker Posey is also in
Blade Trinity.
She is.
Right. So I didn't know if she was going to be your second one or not.
No.
Okay.
I figured you were going to go that route.
All right. Go ahead.
Way too.
Go ahead. All right.
So, secondly, very good.
Thank you.
In 6 movies or less, get from Derville Martin.
Derville Martin 2. Damn, I knew
Jessica Biel.
I knew you were going to pick this nondescript. Oh, I knew you were going to pick her because I don't know nothing she was in the movies except this.
She's been in a few.
A few?
You say it like she hasn't had a career.
Like I know she was on TV.
She's been in a few movies.
Oh my God, what was she in besides this?
I'm looking at her filmography right now, and without giving you any clues, she was in how many of these movies I think you've seen? 1. Possibly 2.
Because I feel like she was always in something at a beach or something with a bikini on, and like that was her whole. Oh my!
I believe she was in at least possibly 3 films that
really
that I think you know. Like I don't know.
Oh,
one I'm fairly certain you've seen. You're just not thinking about it right now. And the only clue I can give you is a film that came out. That when it came out, it got confused, and even now still gets confused with another similar film that came out around the same time.
that's not a clue at all. How is that a clue?
It's how many films get compared to one another?
Lots.
Okay, all right, that came out like around the same time. So think of those things. Okay, it's not lots. It's maybe like 3 or 4.
don't know nothing this white woman was in.
Okay, I'll give you a hint.
What is the last thing she was in? I knew you were going to pick
I don't think the last
this
movie she was in is
black
going to help you.
hole of a.
I don't think that's going to help you. I'm going to give you a clue for that movie that I'm talking about.
Okay.
Okay. A one-word clue. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Escape.
Yeah, that's
That's not doing it.
That's not doing it at all. What's the movie it gets confused with?
It gets confused with a.
Can you tell me the name of the movie?
No. Okay, I'll tell you it. It gets confused with The Prestige.
Yeah. Because
Did you see The Prestige?
that's the Chris Nolan one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so she was in a magician movie?
Yes.
Wait, is she in Now You See Me?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me something she was in. I know for a fact. Yeah, I'm not going nowhere looking at Jessica Biel. Quite honestly, in full disclosure, I pretty actively avoided her because she infuriated me so much in this.
I mean, that wasn't her fault. The movie I'm thinking about
Is what?
The Illusionist.
Yeah, I never saw The Illusionist.
Oh, really? Oh, it's a great movie.
Oh, for God's sake. Who's in The Illusionist?
Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
Ed Norton.
I mean, I can do, hell, I'll do Ed Norton the same.
And Paul Giamatti.
Right, I'll do Ed Norton the same way I just went. Like, get me all the way back to Rosario Dawson. And she's in 25th Hour with Ed Norton. And then Ed Norton apparently is in The Illusionist with Jessica Biel.
It's like, I'm telling you, Vince, if you saw the Illusionist, I think you would enjoy it. Did you like The Prestige?
I did, but that's Chris Nolan.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
Like, I didn't like The Prestige because of magic. I liked it because of Chris Nolan.
I mean,
like, I like Chris Nolan movies.
Okay.
Who directed The Illusionist?
The Illusionist was directed by Neil Berger.
Yeah.
No, it really is.
I mean, I'm going to take your word for it, but just understand there was nothing about The Illusionist that when I saw the ads for it, and I like Ed Norton, but Ed Norton is not going to get me to the movie. And Paul Giamatti got
that.
Yeah.
I like
so,
that.
Yeah, what else was she in?
All right. She was in that. She was also in, what was the other movie I thought you may have seen? She was in Next with Nicolas Cage. You didn't, where he like can see like the future.
Right.
Like you didn't see that?
No.
She was in the A-Team.
The movie version of the A-Team.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was also in the remake of Total Recall.
She is this close to a B-movie actress. She got a hell of an agent.
Well, I mean, she's married. She's married to Justin Timberlake. She's raising his babies.
Oh, well,
she was in
well,
I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry with Adam Sandler and Kevin James.
I've not seen any of these movies. And I feel no shame about not seeing anything that you've just named.
I thought maybe you saw this movie. She was in a Cameron Crowe movie, Elizabethtown.
I'd also like to point out she was not the star of anything you just named.
Well, these were earlier.
Like, is she third build of anything you just named?
She's third build in The Illusionist.
How is she third? So
she's third build under Ed Norton.
So it's Paul Giamatti, and then it's her.
Well, then it leads.
Is there anybody else in the movie? Is it just the three of them?
I mean, there's other people in the movie, of course. She's the top female. She was in Stealth. She's down on her. No, she's second lead in that, listed after Josh Lucas, above Jamie Foxx.
She's listed above Jamie Foxx in Stealth.
He probably is just a cameo or something. I don't.
I thought that was his movie. That's the one with the plane, right?
Yeah. I'm looking at Stealth, and her name is listed second.
All right.
And that's not alphabetical order.
All right. There's no one on earth that thinks of Stealth and says, let me go see the Jessica Biel movie, Stealth.
Okay. Well, nevertheless.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one. I was over here thinking, oh, God, please don't pick Jessica Biel.
She was a voice in Planet 51.
Oh, forget. All right. Yes.
All right. Well. You did it.
Yes. Yes. Oh, she infuriated me so much in this movie.
I mean, anyway, okay.
All right.
So that was 6 Degrees of Derville Martin, ladies and gentlemen.
Jessica Biel.
She was a good one. I can't make it easy. Vince.
No, you can't. But all right, there you go, Jessica Biel.
All right. Let's get into our review of Blade Trinity. But first, it's time for trailer talk, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you new to the show, this is when Vincent and I talk about whatever we want to talk about, because this part will be cut off the actual podcast and replaced with the trailer for the film that we are reviewing. We can't play the trailer on our stream because for copyright reasons.
That's right. It will get a cease and desist.
Yes, another cease and
That's
desist.
right.
Let's put it that. Let's be
That's right.
specific. So Vincent,
Yes.
how about House of the Dragon?
I've actually been having a pretty vigorous debate with my friends about House of the Dragon.
Really?
I have 2 or 3 friends, including my brother, by the way, who have been underwhelmed to actively have disliked it.
Really?
And I love it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I'm ready to say now that the first season has ended,
Mm-hmm.
for rewatchability, I might put it up against the first season of Game of Thrones.
I think so too, because the nature of the show, in that it is dealing with the House of the Dragons, which means that you're kind of like dealing with the family.
Right.
So it's not so much the world
Exactly.
of Westeros.
Exactly.
It's all about that family and all about the things that are happening in those little rooms.
Exactly.
And that does make it easier to process.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to play with the time jumps, but you quickly grab a hold of those.
Yeah.
And
in retrospect, you understand why they had to set up everything. Like, it makes the relationship between Alicent and Rhaenyra, like, it's even more heartbreaking because you see how this world kind of shaped everything.
Yeah, and
so that they land where they land.
And that, from what I understand, is a deviation from the book.
Yeah.
That to me, like, no, I didn't read the book.
Right. Of course not.
But I love it. Like, I can't imagine why that wouldn't have been a part.
I think, and I'm glad this is trailer talk. I think G.R.R. Martin, from what I understand of the source material, because I haven't read a lot of the source material, I think a lot of the changes that have been made have been for the better, because his stuff is, it gets like icky, and then it gets real icky. So I think a lot of changes kind of pull it back to just regular icky.
Right.
But I love the fact that they aged up Rhaenyra and kind of leaned on that. Well, Alicent too, but aged up Rhaenyra, that they're the same age.
Okay.
Because I think in the book, Rhaenyra was basically a little girl, and Alicent was like 15, 16, maybe even a little older. Regardless, I love the fact that they're actually making it more textual, that you can't control these dragons.
Yeah.
Like, why are y'all arrogant why are you giving out dragons to kids?
I know. I didn't understand it. It's especially like full grown dragons.
Right.
Like you're not like walking around
Right.
with like Daenerys did with like little baby dragons.
Right.
No, you got
Right. Like I know there's a fair amount of controversy with close your ears if you haven't watched the last episode.
yeah, spoilers for the final episode of season 1 of House of the Dragon.
With old One Eye. I know he has a name. I just
Aemon
killing his cousin
Mhm.
or nephew. Is it his nephew? Nephew?
It would be nephew.
Is it his nephew?
It would be his nephew because Aemon is Rhaenyra's
brother, right? Her half brother.
Her half brother.
Right. And there was some content apparently in the book or the histories, because these are based on the histories
Mhm.
of this time period. So it's like historians put these accounts on. It's not like the Song of Fire and Ice, which are just like actual books,
right,
and narratives. These are a collection of histories, and there have been moments throughout the series where they've said, well, this is what actually happened, as opposed to, from what I understand in the books, there are interpretations of
someone's account of what happened.
Right. So in the show, where it looks like both of them really just lost control of them dragons, in the book, apparently it's more definitive that Aemon murdered him on purpose.
Okay.
And people are like, well, that changes the book. But I love that because, like, I think that's quietly been a theme throughout Game of Thrones. Like, why y'all playing with these dragons?
Yeah. And well, like,
so now I'm calling it like medieval Blackfish. Like, why y'all messing around with these dragons?
I knowing that deviation from the book, I actually like it because Aemon is supposed to be a kid. You look at the actor; he looks definitely like a man,
right?
Even though he's supposed to be younger than his brother, who becomes the king.
Right. I'm thinking he's like 15, 16.
Well, I think he's supposed to be maybe a little older than that. But either way, I like that it shows, like, even though he was playing rough, he really was about scaring that little boy.
Right.
As far as the show goes.
Right.
He did not want to kill the little boy.
Right.
Like yes, he was arrogant, not to thinking like, you're playing too rough. You're playing with dragons. They're not, these are not games. These are not toys to be trifled with.
I mean, last time y'all was roughhousing, you actually lost an eye.
Right. If nothing else, you should know.
Right.
And that was not within sight of a dragon.
Right. Like, and watch all that roughhousing.
Yeah. Now you're dealing with a dragon the size of a castle.
Yeah.
So
old boy should have turned around. As soon as he came and saw that big ass dragon sitting there, he should have went back home.
Yo, I would have been like, yo, mom,
nope,
they beat me here.
You're gonna have to send a raven.
Now, to be fair though,
because the dragon's there, which also means my crazy ass uncle is there.
No, he should have. Well, it's easy to say that he should have. However, this was a young boy trying to do a man's job.
Yeah, I get all that,
and him thinking that, to be fair, the Lord was basically of the realm was telling him, or the Lord of that house was telling him, like, yo, I should be safe in delivering this message.
Yes,
that's all I've come to do.
In the house, and he didn't get murdered in the house.
No, I know,
but you got to leave the house.
Well, I mean, yeah. But I understand him doing what he did. Like, to have run and left would have been the would have been a little boy's move. That's all I'm saying. Now, those are in the chat before we get out of here. Step into our review. Farrell Blackwell, of course, I say those in the chat. It's Farrell Blackwell screaming at the top of his lungs. Who cares about House of the Dragon? What's up with the final season of Atlanta? I did not watch the final season of Atlanta.
It has been magnificent.
I thought it was over already.
I think it's 3 more episodes.
Okay.
It has been magnificent.
Okay. Yeah, and I think I asked you before. It's this final season.
They are back in Atlanta.
It's not an anthology.
It is not an. I mean, they have the episodes are devoted to like each character.
Okay. But they're in the shows.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll get to it.
It's been really good.
Yeah.
Like Donald Glover he's very much setting this up. This is my legacy.
Okay.
Like this is it right here.
That's curious. That's interesting because especially now in the world as far as TV goes,
Mm-hmm.
where things, can be streaming almost forever.
Yes.
Right. There things don't live in syndication anymore.
No.
Do you think Atlanta has legs?
I absolutely do.
So you think this is something that people will be returning
I
to?
think people are going to be watching Atlanta from now on. I really do.
Why?
Because it's timeless.
You do think it's
I
timeless?
think it is actually timeless. I think the level of character study of these characters, I think the acting is top notch. I think the writing is top. Like, I think this is going to be like almost like The Wire. Like, I really do think, even something where The Wire time has passed and, like the plot of they would use to pay phones and stuff. Like, certainly there are references to current events. Like a couple of episodes ago, they had a pretty scathing critique of Tyler Perry that 20 years from now probably won't hit as immediately as it did with us. But or like the Michael Jackson riff from the first season. But yeah, I think I think this is amazing. Like, I think Donald Glover is doing amazing work. And he has this group of actors and the writers and the director, like just the whole team is and they are firing on all cylinders this last season.
Okay.
Like, I think the third season, which I liked, but I understand people kind of left people cold. But you get the sense that maybe people were resting or working on other projects.
They were working on other projects. Yeah.
Everyone is refreshed. Everyone. So it's like, how many episodes have we had? I think like maybe the fifth episode of this season came out the other day, and every episode has been banging.
Okay.
So,
all right, I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yes,
I'm going to have to check this out. Is there something on Atlanta about Mr. Chocolate?
Yeah, that's the Tyler Perry episode.
Okay. Okay, because the Farrell Blackwell is saying Mr. Chocolate is the new Teddy Perkins.
Yeah, that's the Tyler Perry episode.
Have her say, but I'm pregnant. Okay, all right. I am going to.
Now, nothing will ever be as scathing as the Boondocks episode.
No,
but it's pretty good.
It's up there.
Yeah.
All right. I have to catch up on Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Which is streaming on Hulu.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think it's on FX, but everybody watches it on Hulu.
Yeah.
I want to watch it on Hulu.
All right.
So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Anything else we need to cover?
No. Let's get into this.
Let's get into our review of Blade Trinity. Blade Trinity, a 2004 American superhero horror film written and directed by David S. Goyer, starring Wesley Snipes with co-stars Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, Chris Christopherson, and Dominic Purcell. Blade has been framed for numerous murders by the vampire leader Danica Talos and her squad. Blade must team up with a band of rogue vampire hunters to save humanity from his most challenging enemy yet, Dracula. This movie, which is the third in the Blade trilogy, was released in December of 2004, where it would go on to amass $132 million off of a $65 million budget, yet receive mostly negative reviews from critics, is our selection for this, our final night of Halloween 2022 here on the Micheaux Mission. Vincent, what say you of Blade Trinity?
Blade Trinity is a film that is most or more infamous for the behind the scenes
Mhm.
events than for the film itself. And certainly as we talk this evening, I'm sure we'll spend some time talking about those behind the scenes things. But of course, we have to talk about the film itself before we get to it. And as will come to no surprise to anyone, I thought Blade Trinity was terrible.
Ooh, terrible.
It is unfocused. The script is pedestrian at best.
Mm.
It is Wesley Snipes as Blade, and this is a third outing as Blade, sleepwalks through this film. He's almost doing Blade cosplay. The introduction of new sexy characters is awkward and encumbered. The action sequences are by the numbers. We were talking earlier, you and I were talking earlier about a film that is out now, and you mentioned that some of the action, quote, looked like almost a CW show.
Yeah.
Which the action in here is not that sharp, which again, you have Wesley Snipes, who we've talked about previously in the other two installments of this series, who is himself a special effect. So that's a waste. And there are any number of reasons why this film is the failure that it is. But the one thing that I will add to the narrative of Blade Trinity, and I'm so glad that my partner Lynn holding it down the past couple of months, and he put together the double bill of our reviews of Blade 1 and Blade 2. I will now add this to that conversation and say, while Blade Trinity is a bad film, I think Blade Trinity continues a trend that we both talked about in Blade 2.
Mm.
This trend where there is this, regardless of what you believe actually happened behind the scenes. I'm just talking about what's on the screen. What is reflected on the screen is this really base level of disrespect to what Wesley Snipes brought to this.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about in Blade 2. You come to Blade for Blade. Blade 2, you had all these additional characters. You had the vampire squad that was with him that diluted Blade himself and added to it. And this is just a continuation of a trend from Blade 2.
Right.
The difference between Blade 2 and Blade Trinity, however, is that Guillermo del Toro, who directed Blade 2, is such an accomplished, seasoned director with a unique vision of his own that you still get something really good. And again, we are documented saying this. Blade 2 works as a Guillermo del Toro film.
Right.
More
Right.
than it does a Blade film.
Right, exactly.
In contrast, after going through two directors, they end up with David Goyer, who wrote the script, the screenplay for all three Blade films. But he's a writer. This is the second film that he directed. As of this taping, he's only directed 4 films
Right.
in his career. He's not a director. So he can't get over the hump of, again, this philosophical difference, or in my mind, this philosophical misunderstanding of what makes Blade work, which is Wesley Snipes. You don't get less Wesley Snipes and think you're going to come up with a good product. Then there are the extra players that they put in here. We talked about Jessica Biel before the review. God bless Jessica Biel. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. She adds nothing to this film. Like, everything about her character as Whistler, who, of course, Chris Christopherson's character, who has been Blade's partner and surrogate father throughout the earlier 2 installments,
Mhm.
whose own backstory textually is that his family was murdered by vampires,
Yeah.
which is why he is now in the vampire hunting business. Well, lo and behold, at some point during this time that he and Blade have worked together side by side every day in this holy war, he had time to have a baby somewhere over on the side who then grew up to be sexy Jessica Biel, who then she's a sexy vampire hunter. Not only is she a sexy vampire hunter, but she's a with it, cool vampire hunter who, when she vampire hunts, she takes out her iPod, which is cutting edge technology because it's 2004, and she downloads MP3s to put on her iPod so that she has playlists
Yes.
while she's hunting. One of the most unintentionally hilarious moments in this film to me towards the end, of course, you're going towards the conclusion,
Mhm.
and you get the weapon porn that
Yeah.
you get. And Blade, of course, has these beautiful swords and these kind of projectiles that he throws, and he's got his guns, and the two of them are getting ready.
Mhm.
And it's interspersed, the two of them getting ready, and they're getting their equipment ready, and Blade has his swords and his guns, and then she has to pick out a sexy midriff to put on because that's what all the sexy vampire hunters wear. And then it shows her very dramatically putting in her earbuds
Yes.
so that so Jessica Biel is her performance is terrible. Her performance is terrible. It's a waste of time. I think I think just historically, this is a post Buffy the Vampire Slayer production. I think they were going for a Buffy energy, maybe with her, that just does not land at all. Ryan Reynolds, who we all know now is a wisecracking Ryan Reynolds, and he's a star. He's stuck in here as Hannibal King, who is a character from the Dracula and Blade mythos. But it's just irritating and out of place. And he's doing the Ryan Reynolds stuff where he's wisecracking, and you can tell the film is trying to situate them. Like, quite honestly, you felt like it was a backdoor pilot.
Well, yeah.
Like, this felt like an episode from a television show in the 5th season of the television show. And then they kind of have this backdoor pilot where the main characters are only tangentially connected to the action.
Yes.
The plot is way overstuffed.
Yeah.
There's way too much going on in here. And I think David Goyer is a good writer, but I think just doing all of these different things, you could see how the writing suffers. You can see how the story beats suffer so that you end up with this mess of a film. Now, what really angers me about it, there are a few good ideas in here. It's way overstuffed. Any of the 3 things that I'm about to say, perhaps 2 of them could have been in this film. Best case scenario, 1 of these things could be in this film. The plot about the vampires setting Blade up, and they frame, not they don't frame him, but they set him up. He murders a familiar, and then they videotape it, and then humanity kind of gets wind of Blade, and now he has to deal with that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually a good idea. And not for nothing, you have the opportunity to play up what I thought was one of the smarter aspects of the original Blade, where maybe this is a philosophical difference among the vampires, where the old school has liked to operate in secret.
Right.
Whereas Parker Posey, representing the new school, is like, we can use this against him. But of course, it's very clumsily handled. It's never really explored in any real nuanced way. This whole idea of a blood bank of humans made up of homeless people is frankly something that we touched on, speaking of vampire movies, when we talked about Blackula. This notion of if you were actually a vampire, like if you were actually a vampire and you had to, like the logistics of being a vampire in the modern world, it would make sense to hunt homeless people.
Yes.
And kidnap homeless people.
Yes.
And said it's very like it's a real matrixy idea.
Mhm.
Like you can very much see the again, like you can see the influences of these outside properties on here. But it's a good idea. And there's one quick moment where the familiar who is telling Blade about this blood bank made of homeless people, he says, you know, in a lot of ways, we're doing the city a favor because these are the people that no one wants.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, there's like, this is a film right here. Like, here's the commentary right here. Dracula as this age-old predator who wakes up in the modern world and now has to deal with becoming basically a punchline. There's something there. But once again, say it with me, it's not explored. It's not dealt with that well. God bless Dominic Purcell. Did you watch
Legends of Tomorrow?
No, not Legends of Tomorrow. Prison Break.
No, I do know he was in Prison Break.
I really enjoyed him on Prison Break.
Yeah.
He's not this is not a strong performance.
Yeah,
from him.
He absolutely has zero charisma.
He and for him to be Dracula,
it's total. I mean,
it's not really that good. Ryan Reynolds, you know, I have to say, I am in the a little Ryan Reynolds goes a long way camp. Like, I like him in them Deadpool movies, but like when Deadpool is finished, I don't really need more Ryan Reynolds. But I understand the Ryan Reynolds. Like, I understand Ryan Reynolds, and even in this film, you understand why someone would want to put their $10 and bet on Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
Parker Posey makes everything better.
Parker Posey is
Parker.
a joy.
She makes everything better. And in this dog of a movie, my few actual moments of chuckling and enjoyment come from Parker Posey. There's a moment where Parker Posey and Ryan Reynolds are together. And if you read interviews with Ryan Reynolds about this film, he says that there must be hours of footage because he and Parker Posey just bounced off each other.
Yeah.
And it is the most energetic moment in the film. And I don't know why they haven't worked together. Maybe they have worked together and I don't know about it. But that 2 minutes, I said, oh, well, see, this is what I want to see right here.
Right.
But it's a terrible, and it's a shame that this is the capstone of the Blade trilogy. But I'm going to say it again. I'm going to end where I kind of started my deviation from the sort of consensus. I don't think Blade 3 is an anomaly. I think Blade 3 continues a thread that started with Blade 2, which, when we move into the behind the scenes stuff, if Wesley Snipes was frustrated, if Wesley Snipes was angry about the way this all unfolded, I completely understand. Because again, there is a level of disrespect baked into this thing that is that is terrible.
I hate this movie.
Okay.
It's not a good movie at all. There are aspects of it, like Ryan Reynolds, I agree with you, a little goes a long way. I recognize that this is early in his and Jessica Biel's career, so I give them both a little bit of a pass for that. You know, because they're just doing a job and they're trying to make the most of it. And reports are that they got along on the set and it was all good. But I think Ryan Reynolds comes off as trying too hard
Mhm.
in this movie. I do understand that he did do a lot of ad libs. Most of his dialogue is ad libbed with Wesley when they are in scenes together. We'll get to that later. But I think he's trying too hard, but he could also, who knows, be trying too hard because of whatever's going on set, and he's trying to offset for that.
Mhm.
Jessica Biel, I'm not like a huge Jessica Biel fan. I'm not going to defend her one way or the other, but I just recognize this early in her career, and so it's like it is what it is. Her walking around in the untactical wear that she, and to be fair, Ryan Reynolds wear, is par for the course in these type of movies, especially when you're trying to build up the sex appeal of these people you're trying to move on to a sequel. I just think it's very interesting that her and Ryan Reynolds are running around mostly in tank tops or midriffs, while Wesley Snipes, who is, at least from the first two films, like almost a chiseled Adonis in those two films. Wesley Snipes is running around in a puffed black car hat jacket with a vest on top of it.
I think it's a fleece. Well, I thought maybe it was chilly.
No, it's not fleece. It's definitely
it was like puffy.
It's like puffy, and then
puffy.
he's got a vest.
Vest over it.
Over it.
Yeah, dressed in layers.
And gloves.
And maybe he's camping because you got to dress in layers. That's the secret, because you capture heat between the layers.
I'm like, what is happening with Wesley? Wesley is like, he's like, the budget for the wardrobe went way down.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it all went to them.
I thought maybe he didn't want to have all the tattoos, so he just
that he had out in the first two movies.
Yeah, well, now I'm just
so he don't want to
wear long sleeves, and like I'm not going to sit in makeup and have them.
Y'all can tattoo that finger.
Right.
That's all y'all get is that finger.
He had a little bit sticking out.
And the back of the
like
neck.
You got 2 inches sticking out. Yeah.
I need my shirts to come here.
Right.
Because that's all.
Had like a red mini mock.
Yeah. Then it was a red
mini
mock turtle.
I thought like Guy and Rex and Effects were performing later that night.
I was looking for Star Trek bits.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, so I'm like, what is happening with Wesley?
Yeah.
So it's very formulaic. I think the movie, you said it's overstuffed. It is so overstuffed because Wesley, like, we're talking about Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds, but Blade runs into his own group because it's Jessica Biel, Ryan Reynolds, and then there's, for what I believe, an unnamed black guy who's their driver.
Yeah.
For one scene.
Yeah.
There's Patton Oswalt, who seems to be like their equipment weapons guy.
Right. Is he in 3 scenes?
He's like in maybe 3 scenes.
Yeah.
And then there's a blind woman who has a daughter.
Who has a kid. Why she have a kid?
Running around with them.
Right.
Like, that's like, nobody sees something wrong with this.
How terrible is the father of your child that keeping your kid with you as y'all
hunt vampires
is better than leaving her with the father
from this dilapidated warehouse that y'all apparently live in
down on the docks.
Down on the docks. I'm like, what the?
Where is Child Protective Services?
So he's got this whole crew, and because he's got a whole crew of himself, the crew that's chasing him, they leave the movie for like about 20, 25 minutes. I forgot that they were chasing him. And then when we return to them, oh, that's right, they're chasing Blake. Oh, yeah. And they found some vampire at the beginning of the movie. What's going on with that?
By the way, that was Dracula.
By the way, hi, Dracula.
But now we call him Drake.
I feel like that was a copyright thing. Y'all can say Dracula once every 25 minutes in the movie. Well, what are we going to call him the rest of the time? You can call him Drake.
You can call him Drake. Now they call him Drake. Who calls him Drake? You just found him 15 minutes ago.
Wait a minute. And then, like, Ryan Reynolds, Hannibal King goes through this whole backstory. Nobody knows the real story. But what we do know, and then he gets
And then he tells you this. The script is not strong.
Nobody knows what really happened. But once upon a time in a cabin.
I have a PowerPoint that I'm going to go through with you.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
He went by many names. Drake, Sam.
Right. Lived with a family with a Frankenstein. Lady Dracula.
But they had to dust up and fought each other in 1971.
Right. Oh my God.
When he was on hiatus from Welcome Back, Kotter. I mean, like this movie, yo, man, this movie is just bad. It is just bad. It's formulaic. David Goyer, who has written some very iffy movies in the past. He's the writer of Man of Steel, which I contend is not necessarily bad, but that's because he's got Christopher Nolan and Christopher Nolan's brother who's there helping him.
Right.
But then David Goyer writes Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
And
yeah, but didn't he write the Chris Nolan trilogy? Didn't he write the Batman trilogy?
He did write the Batman trilogy, but again, he's working with Christopher Nolan and his brother. Anytime you look at anything that's good that David Goyer has written, he's co-writing it.
Interesting.
Because even when he wrote in the comics, his most famous thing and probably the most well-received comic books work was when he worked on JSA, and he wrote that in tandem with first James Robinson and then with Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
So it's only when he's in partnership that's he kind of good. Here he's left to his own devices.
Yeah.
Right. And the proof is in the pudding. There are scenes that there's a scene. Wesley Snipes is in prison and he's shackled.
Yes.
Right. And he gets the serum and he's able to break out of the shackles. And you see Wesley Snipes slow motion break out of the shackles. Or I should say you hear him break out of the shackles because you hear the shackles break. You hear Wesley Snipes give his like famous like kind of like roar of blade is like empowered. You don't see it on the camera.
Look,
because the camera doesn't know where to look. It's all over the place. It's every place but there.
Yeah.
And that is indicative of him not knowing how to shoot action, not knowing how to direct scenes, not knowing how to direct his actors. Now, reportedly, there are things that hampered him. And it gets to the background, the infamous history of Blade Trinity, and that Wesley Snipes, who we should note is an executive producer on this film. Now, I know executive producer many times is just a title, but he's still a producer on this film. He did not like the choice of David Goyer as the writer. He did not like the choice he didn't like the script. And he certainly didn't like him.
He built the damn thing.
He
built like Blade
to be the director. No, he didn't. He didn't like that. He didn't like it at all.
No, I mean Wesley Snipes.
No. I understand.
Built Blade.
He built this. It is a thing because of him, right?
Yes,
I recognize that. I do recognize that. In his protest, apparently,
yes,
against the things that he did not like about this film, he didn't like it being stuffed with all the Night Stalkers.
Yes,
because he took away from the relationship between him and Whistler.
Yes,
Chris Christopherson, who basically leaves the movie within the first 10 minutes, and then inexplicably comes back at the end. And I don't, if they ever really explained it, they don't.
It's not explained at all.
Okay,
I thought it was Dracula shape shifted for a while.
I thought it was too, and maybe it was,
but they never make that.
They never
clear.
make it clear whether or not it's him, right? So he thinks that that's overstuffed, and I can contend with that. I can believe that. So in his protest of this film, of that, he then, and he acknowledges it, more or less cuts off all communication with David Goyer.
Yes.
He is only communicating with the director via post-it notes.
Yes.
And he, for the most part, it is told, is only showing up on set for close-ups or scenes that he has to be in.
Right. It then becomes a contractual.
Right, because he's got to do it.
You know why I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my first statistic.
Okay.
Because reportedly, a lot of the scenes that you see with Blade with other actors, Wesley Snipes is not there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, we're not talking about, there's times, of course, where there's stunt doubles that sit in for him. Not often, but there are times. But just like literally scenes where Blade is talking one-on-one to person, and if that person is looking at the camera and like the camera is looking over Blade's shoulder, or Blade is in profile in that shot, it's not Blade.
Right.
And from my count, I came up with at least 15 scenes that I am 95% certain that's not Wesley Snipes.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a whole lot. Because part of me was like, okay, is that like, is it like maybe 4 or 5 scenes? 15 scenes is a lot.
Look, like you said, there he was in active protest against this film.
Yeah.
And I think that part is not up for debate. And like you said, all parties agree on that. I think what has not been agreed on is A, how far that protest went. B, whether or not he was justified to have the level of protest that he did.
Well, I think the fact that there are at least 15 scenes where there is a someone else playing Blade in there, that seems to jibe with a lot of what I've read. Now, Patton Oswalt says like he would only be referred to as Blade on the set.
Right.
Ryan Reynolds and David Goyer both say that there were times when he was not giving anything to like to his fellow actors.
Yes.
Which is why Ryan Reynolds just went ham.
Right.
With the ad libs. And if you watch the film, a lot of that feels true because it feels like it's on the screen.
Right. But here's the thing. And Wesley Snipes says this to a certain extent. It's justified.
Okay.
Like, again, we use these terms, and even Wesley Snipes says, I was executive producer, and I felt like some people didn't respect that, and like that's all, like that's the quote. But before Wesley Snipes, there was nothing.
Yeah,
and then there was something because of Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, famously, this is the first movie of the trilogy that begins with the Marvel banner in the beginning at the top.
I'm not even talking about his place in the construction of the House of Marvel. I mean, just with Blade.
Yeah, right.
Before Wesley Snipes, there was nothing. Like, he built this. And again, after the first movie, I'm going to keep saying what I said. There is a pattern of people coming in and showing this base level of disrespect for what Wesley Snipes did. God bless David Goyer, and David Goyer wrote the script. And we talked about all this. He writes the script for Blade. Everyone acknowledges that Wesley Snipes added a lot of the story and a lot of the mythology to Blade in the first film, akin to we were speaking of Blackula earlier, akin to what William Marshall brought to the movie Blackula.
Yeah.
The look, the feel, the cool, everything was Wesley Snipes.
Yes.
for the powers that be to not give Wesley Snipes as much say in the production of the third film in a very successful trilogy.
Mhm.
I want to come out of my trailer either. Like, I'm gonna do what I'm getting paid to do. I'm gonna do it, but like, what you want from me? And then as the years have gone by, and I make this mistake at the end of Blade 2, of our review of Blade 2. You actually correct me. I was listening to both of them last week. And the narrative that has come out, that Wesley Snipes was out of control and Wesley Snipes was terrible and this, that, and the other. And I talked about listening to all the interviews with everybody. But when you actually do the research,
Mhm.
Ryan Reynolds, David Goyer are very political in their critique. They say it was a very difficult set. They said no one was really happy with everything that ended up on the screen. It's all real kind of Hollywood double talky
Mhm.
with the both of them. The only one who really talks crazy and is like, oh, Wesley Snipes was making people call him Blade and he called Ryan Reynolds a cracker and this, that, and the other is Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Who's in 3 scenes. Like, how much were you on the set, dog? So,
So you're dubious of his account. So that's what's going on. Is that what you're saying?
Wesley Snipes said, and I'm just trying to go by what people have said in actual interviews. If me as a big muscle black man had strangled David Goyer on set,
Which is what Patton Oswalt
the way
says.
Patton Oswalt has said, they would have locked me up. Now, I wasn't on the set. I don't know the Hollywood voodoo, but it does seem true to me that if Wesley Snipes had been wilding out, strangling people,
Mhm.
there'd have been a bit more made out of it
Yeah, I agree. I agree
than
with
Patton Oswalt on podcasts telling funny stories.
that. Yeah. I certainly believe that, especially now, years down the line, he's getting played up.
Right. Like he's somewhere calling Ryan Reynolds a cracker 3 and 4 times and this, that, and the other. Like people heard it. I feel like there'd have been a bit more of that if that actually happened the way that the only person saying it, Patton Oswalt, said it was happening.
Right. No, I hear you. I agree with that. There is I do believe that you're right. There is a level of disrespect that is thrown to Wesley Snipes on this. There is part of me that maybe just in what I believe Wesley Snipes' character to be, because I don't know the man.
Right.
There is a part of me that feels like to hear Wesley Snipes say it, to hear him tell it, nothing of what he wanted for Blade Trinity did he get.
Right.
And I find it a little hard to believe that Wesley Snipes, the man, doesn't get something. Like he can't make you at least give me something.
Dog, I hear you, but again, Blade 2 is a Guillermo del Toro film.
Yeah.
Like Blade 2 is a Blade film, frankly, that you can take Blade out and it's damn near the same film.
True.
So this is not an anomaly. After Blade 1, I feel like he was getting boxed out.
Well, I don't know. I still don't necessarily think it's boxed out so much. In that, like the Blade 2 is just a weird kind of story, but as the common denominator is, and being that connects all 3 films and being the lead and being a Hollywood star at the time, legit.
Yes.
I find it hard to believe that whatever his list of wants, they say no to everything. Obviously they did.
I was about to say, well, how do you explain this then? If they didn't say no to everything?
I don't know. I question. Sometimes there's a part of me that questions how hard did he fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's at the end of the day. I'm not saying he didn't fight. I'm not saying that at all.
But like his check's the same because he is a producer.
Yeah, yeah. So so
Like I noticed Amin Ra actually pops up before
right,
anybody else.
exactly.
Yeah.
So like how hard did he really fight for it, and how much did he say, oh man, this is like, all right, let me just go cash this check,
Right.
And because it's very easy in that situation then to do 2020 and like, yeah, they wouldn't like give me this and they wouldn't give me that and play lip service to that, but like, were you really fighting it, or did you just really like,
I mean, again, just going by what we know.
well, what we've read?
Anything? No. What we know, like
Mhm.
it went through 2 directors before it landed with David Goyer.
Yeah.
You don't think Wesley Snipes would have? You don't think he suggested any director in the midst of any of that?
You would think so, but I don't know. It doesn't sound like he did, at least not from the readings that I've found. But what it is. Would you recommend that people see Blade Trinity?
I would not. I would not recommend that people see Blade Trinity. I think it is very much a terrible film.
Mm-hmm.
I think the phenomenon around Blade Trinity is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because I do think it reveals, and I'm not saying that Patton Oswalt is a racist. Let me just start there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the narrative that has built over the years around this film is very much a reflection of the type of racism that exists, where we always think the worst of Black actors, that we always sort of buy into these narratives about the prima donna Black actor. It always makes me think of the reputation that followed Eddie Murphy for years.
Mm.
And appropriately enough, I think I have changed my opinion of Wesley Snipes.
Oh, really?
Based on Wesley Snipes working with Eddie Murphy in both Dolomite Is My Name
Mm-hmm.
and Coming to America. And just seeing him in interviews and seeing how he's navigated that space and wondering how much of the Wesley Snipes reputation has been based on Patton Oswalt type commentary that we've just sort of taken at face value. But the film itself, no. And yourself?
Well, no, I would not recommend Blade Trinity at all. I don't think you are missing anything. Even if you're a fan of Ryan Reynolds, you don't need to see this.
No.
You don't need to see this movie at all. It's just not a good film. It's just a forgettable film. And if we weren't reviewing it tonight, Dominic Purcell would have topped Grandpa Al Lewis in the number 1 spot in the Lacula performances.
He's not a strong, yeah,
because at least Grandpa Al Lewis looks like a Sam Dracula. Dominic Purcell doesn't look like a Drake.
I don't understand a lot of the casting in this film.
No, well, I mean, that's really the only casting I don't understand. Like, it's too stuffed, but I mean, people seem to fit their roles and like what roles they're given. Like I said, Patton Oswalt and that Black guy, they're not really doing anything. They're just cannon fodder. Parker Posey is having a ball.
Yeah.
So I enjoy seeing her. Like, honestly, really all you needed was Parker Posey and Triple H. Like, there's some guy that plays her brother. We don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care. He doesn't even get a moment at all in the freaking movie.
The whole the pooching of the Night Stalkers just bothered me to no end.
All right. So that's our review of Blade Trinity, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, not only do we have a long-awaited film coming your way next week,
Yes, sir.
it is a very special double feature review.
Oh boy.
It is. It is. But before we do that, this week, this show will be available come the morning for your download, stream, and pleasure as a podcast, as always, as well as this week's Previously on the Mission. And I dug deep in the crates for this one. I went back to episode 40. This is not only a movie that people talk about in hallowed halls as far as Halloween Afro-American horror, but this is a review that is near and very dear to Vincent's heart. I am talking about our review from episode 40, which was in the first year of our show, of Tales from the Hood, with very special guest Ashley Blackwell from Graveyard Shift's sister.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, that will be waiting for you
All right.
on our podcast feed this week, previously on the Micheaux Mission. Before we tell you about the movies that we're going to be reviewing next week, I invite you to check out the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. Go to micheauxmission.com and check out all of the cool swag that we have available for your buying pleasure by way of our good friends at T Public. You have a thought about the Micheaux Mission, you want to talk to Vince or I, please hit us up. Send us an email, micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's Micheaux Mission @gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail, 215-867-9666, and tell Vincent and Len what is on your mind. Follow the Micheaux Mission on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter @Micheaux Mission. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. Vincent, while you were away, we got our 500th subscriber on YouTube.
Nice. Look at
Yes.
that.
Onward and upward
Onward and upward.
to 510. And if you really like the Micheaux Mission, please help us out any way you can, but especially give us 5 stars and a review on the podcast catcher of your choice, but especially if it's on Apple Podcasts, because we're trying to get to 200 reviews by the end of the year. Trust me, the reviews help people find us in that almighty algorithm.
The almighty algorithm.
And we actually have some programming reasons why we want to reach 200 reviews. So please help us do that. And don't forget, the Micheaux Mission is a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com. We make podcasts work. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
What else we got for you? Next week on the Micheaux Mission,
Yes.
we are first taking a trip to 1912. 1912, Vincent, where we will be reviewing a short film, but it is considered one of the earliest films that is still available to feature an all-black cast.
Okay.
And not only that, I have learned this film was directed by a woman.
Oh, very nice.
From 1912, it is A Fool and His Money.
A Fool and His Money.
That is what we will be reviewing next week. It is only a short film. It's only 10 minutes long. So
Doesn't take long for them to get separated. So,
well, it's a silent, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a silent film, and it plans to be a lot of fun. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But because this film kind of deals with A Fool and His Money, a little bit about like con artists, I wanted to look at a movie that deals really with con artists. And fans out there, missionaries out there, know that I am a huge fan of the TCM podcast, The Plot Thickens, which in November is going to be debuting their 4th season, which is going to be all focused around Pam Grier.
Yes, sir.
So I thought it was high time for us to do unarguably the best Pam Grier movie ever
Yeah.
from 1997.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown.
Looking forward to this.
Next week here, November 1st, 7 p.m.
Look at Pam Grier.
On the Micheaux mission, ladies and gentlemen. This will be very, very good.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.